Okay, get this. What if I told you that the single most powerful man in America gave up all his power on purpose? No scandal, no one forced him out. He just chose to. Let's dive into this absolutely incredible story.
Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. At the absolute height of his power and influence, with an entire nation pretty much ready to do whatever he said, he just walked away. It sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? But yep, that's exactly what happened.
And that's really the heart of what we're talking about. This wasn't just him retiring to go chill on his farm. This was a deliberate act that defined a new nation. It was a choice that drew a massive line in the sand between the old world of kings and this radical new experiment in freedom.
Now, to really get why this was so shocking, you've got to understand something about power. It's a really, really hard thing to let go of. It has a way of consuming you, and historically speaking, it's almost never given up voluntarily.
I mean, think about it. Roman emperors, European kings, rulers all through time. The story is almost always the same. They cling to power with a death grip until they're forced out or until they die. So, for Washington to do what he did, it was a complete break from literally thousands of years of human history. All right, so let's set the scene. The American Revolution is over, this new country is born, and it's trying to find its footing. It needs a leader. But the world it was born into had a very specific, very old model for what leadership was supposed to look like.
And that model was monarchy. That was the default setting for pretty much the entire world. Power was something you were born into, it was absolute, and you kept it for your entire life. The idea of a leader just serving for a while and then going home, that was completely alien. It was the very system America had just fought a war to get away from.
And this is the really crucial part. Washington wasn't just popular. He was a legend, a hero, the guy who won the war. People trusted him so completely that a lot of them thought the most logical next step was to just make him King George of America. That offer, or at least the strong suggestion of it, was very much on the table. So you have Washington standing at this huge crossroads. One path was the way things had always been done, a world of kings where power is basically your personal property for life. The other path? Something brand new, totally untested. A revolutionary idea that power isn't something you own, it's just loaned to you by the people, and eventually you have to give it back. And that simple, powerful idea was why he said no. He understood the incredible danger. I mean, what was the point of the whole revolution? All that sacrifice, just to end up with a new king on a different throne? He knew the ideals of a republic was so much bigger than any one man. So, after turning down the crown, he had an even bigger job to do. He had to show the world what this new kind of leadership actually looked like in practice. It wasn't enough to just say no to being a king. He had to build the alternative from the ground up. And this wasn't just one decision, you know? It was a chain of them, each one deliberate, each one building on the last. First, he wins the war, which gives him almost unlimited influence. Then, he refuses the ultimate prize, the crown. After that, he serves as president, basically inventing the job as he goes. And finally, the most radical move of all, he willingly hands over the power to someone else, peacefully. The reaction from the rest of the world was just pure shock. Across the ocean, his old enemy, King George III, reportedly said that if Washington actually did this, he'd be the greatest character of the age. The other monarchs in Europe just couldn't wrap their heads around it. A leader with that much power and adoration just voluntarily becoming a regular citizen again, it was completely unthinkable. And this isn't just a cool story from a history book. This one choice created a ripple effect that defines American democracy and leadership around the world to this very day. And that's the core lesson, right? Washington taught everyone that real strength isn't about grabbing and holding on to power. It's about empowering the system, the institutions, and the people you serve. It's kind of ironic. His influence became permanent the moment he chose to make his power temporary. Because from that one act, you get these fundamental pillars of democracy. The idea that presidents only serve for 2 terms. That was just an unwritten rule he started that lasted for 150 years before it became law. The peaceful transfer of power became the bedrock of American stability. And it sent a clear message: the Constitution is the boss, not any single person. Washington didn't just set an example for America. He gave the entire world a new blueprint for what leadership could be.
He proved that a nation could be strong and stable without a ruler for life, that power could change hands without everything falling into chaos.
So, the most important point is this: Washington's resignation was the ultimate act of faith. It was him declaring that he trusted the American people and the democratic system they'd built more than he trusted any single person to be in charge forever. And that includes himself. That's the real powerful legacy of his choice. Which brings us to a final thought. When you look at the world around you, at leaders who often seem to be trying to extend their power instead of giving it up, you just have to ask, could it happen today? Is that level of restraint, that kind of selflessness, still possible? It's a question worth thinking about.